Hey everyone, thanks for being here with me. Help me share this out, invite people, post this in other groups, let people know you're watching the Mexican Crossing Lines. It's gonna get real interesting here in a minute. Let me get to my show here. Bear with me. My computer hates me today. And it's being difficult. But we'll get there. We'll figure this out. Okay. Let's see how my new setup works here. Yay! Can y'all see that? Huh? So, today's show is not your migrant caravan. That's right. Not your migrant caravan. On a Mexican Crossing Lines, we're going to be talking about all of these things on today's show. Check it out. Dave Gaskin, Myron Dewey, Digital Smoke Signals, Evan Duke, and Myron Dewey and Juan Mancias at the new Texas camps. Ann Thompson-Frenk with the Nexus group. You know them. And Mark Lane, TYT's Mark Lane. Remember that guy I was telling you about? He was with Pitaya Queen. And his Minority Humanitarian Foundation. You need to hear about all of that. We'll also be talking about Nicole Ramos, director of Otro, Lado, Jessie, Sandoval, Dave Gaskin, Wiyaka, Eagleman, and Cam McCoy updates at El Barretal. And we're going to be bringing you, as promised, those Waste Winyang's Facebook posts about Tara Hauska and a bunch of other dirty laundry. And we're going to check back in with the pimp, Christina Hollenback. Remember her with the Nexus group? And Olive Bias. I got some updates about Mr. James White, a.k.a. Angry Bird, for you all here on a Mexican Crossing Lines with your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp. And you can catch all of this on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we're adding local color to your airwaves. You can also find my past shows on kpppfm.com. I've got them in Spanish. I've got them in English over there. I do hope that you check all of that out on kpppfm.com, but there's other ways that you can find my past shows. Last one that I did was just yesterday on the infiltrators in the Migrant Caravan. I've got a whole series of shows all about the Migrant Caravan infiltrators. Right now they're only available on Facebook Live, but they'll be up on YouTube real soon and on our KPPP FM channel. Just that Duke's been super busy working on other stuff. So that's why I'm doing my shows like this for a bit. I mean, it's a little different, but it's okay, right? And there's also the infiltrators of the Migrant Caravan, which I did in Spanish and in English so that people know exactly what I'm talking about here. Migrant Caravan updates, Migrant Caravan shelter updates, LGBTQ Caravan and their leader, Pitaya Queen, in Spanish and in English, Caravan Con Men, and the Caravan Consequences. Go check all of those out. I also wanted to tell folks, again, thank you for the stuff that you send me. It helps me prepare and do these shows. We are a non-commercial, non-profit radio station, so we depend on our listeners, our viewers, for their support, for their tips, and for their donations. So please go to kpppfm.com if you're in that giving spirit right now. It's the time, it's the season, right? Give a tax-deductible donation to this station, KPPPLP, and help us continue to produce great media stories like this one. You can also leave us a message at 701-566-0917. You can tweet me at media_PPP. You can email me at cindy@kpppfm.com. And you can follow us on 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead on Facebook, as well as the People's Press Project and Mexican Online. Mexican Online is the spot where I'm putting all my updates and tweets about what's happening with the caravan. So go and subscribe and definitely go and check out our YouTube channel at Duke 1517. Duke 1517. Okay, and now let's get to the show. So I told you that a lot of the Standing Rock phonies have inserted themselves into the caravan. For people that don't know, this is your first time watching my show. Let me explain. We're here on the border of North Dakota and Minnesota, all the way up north. And 2 years ago, there was a pipeline protest at Standing Rock against the Dakota Access Pipeline, which turned into quite the debacle. And I was investigating the case of a wrongful, a kidnapping of an elder woman named Mary Trujillo by Standing Rock leadership and frame up of her daughter for false elder abuse charges that landed her in jail for 6 months. Don't worry, we were able to get her out of there. But she was framed by people at the camp that were in the leadership, in the spiritual leadership, in all sorts of very high positions, and people from this group, billionaires group, investors called Nexus. I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of the people in that group today, Ann Thompson-Frenk, and another one named Christina Hollenback. They were involved in what happened at Standing Rock, and now they've inserted themselves into the caravan. And so have many of the people in the leadership and in organizations associated with Standing Rock. So I started to follow what they were doing, and as per the usual, it's not good. They're doing things that are harmful to the caravan, manipulative, they're putting out false information, and they're raising money. Because, you know, that's what they do. They raise money for themselves. So let me remind you where we left off. We were talking about how Myron Dewey of Digital Smoke Signals had taken off to Texas. He went off to Texas with Evan Duke III, and they're at some butterfly sanctuary in Mission, Texas. He's posting about sanctuary being threatened by the Trump proposed wall. And I showed you that in addition to Evan Duke, the Antifa founder of Occupy ICE, as well as this asylum seeker caravan support network, which is umbrellaing a lot of these groups and organizations and media people and activists that are working together down south in Tijuana and along the Mexican border. Among them, Luis Monsiváis. He's another Standing Rock figure. He's actually a B-list, D-list, F-list actor from Hollywood. Is a stuntman for Machete. And here you see him commenting. Recently, I told you that he was telling people that he had snuck into the home of Kelsey Warren, the owner of the Dakota Access Pipeline and Energy Transfer Partners, and that he was using his drone to film it, and he said he found a dead person, and Ann Thompson-Frenk was posting about that dead person being her friend and cross-posting with Luis Monsiváis. Yes, Ann Thompson-Frenk, this billionaire woman from Nexus, likes to surround herself with a bunch of Hollywood phonies and fake shaman. And so Luis was telling people he's a coyote now and he's going to cross people. Here they are together in this post, right, with Myron Dewey. In addition to this, I wanted to show you Mama LaDonna is paying attention to every little step they make. What are they doing? She is supporting it. Don't worry. Here she is commenting on the butterfly sanctuary as well. LaDonna says, Border Patrol cutting down trees and shrubs on a butterfly refuge so migrants have no place to hide. Butterflies are migrants too. Reposting Oshana Katrandi, I don't know what her name is, but here you see it. LaDonna is on top of it because she cares. She cares about what these phonies are doing. As long as it is collecting money, she's behind it. Myron Dewey, as you know, crossed the border. Went to Texas. He's been going to the border crossing there. Here he is crossing a checkpoint and trying to be funny with the border patrol.
Wasn't mine, obviously. Usually not the phone. Is that one that I don't answer questions?
I want to put that inside the car.
He's with Evan Duke.
Morning. Is everybody on board a United States citizen?
I am, yes.
Are you sure?
By force. I'm indigenous.
Have a safe trip, yo.
You like that? Beautiful.
Ha 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 ha. So much fun. Burlarse de las autoridades. They get away with doing that stuff here in the United States, and they've been getting away with it for a while, you know. But as I showed you last night, Mexico is not the United States. The authorities there are not putting up with this nonsense. Let me share with you a post that shows you who else I'm working with. Here he is, posted by RGV No Border Wall. No Border Wall movement. Sharing this live video that I just showed you was the Butterfly Sanctuary post that Myron put out earlier. And he is with the Tribe of Texas Chairman Juan B. Mancias. That's who he's with down there. The tribe that he talks about that they're working with in Texas. Okay, now let me show you. This Juan B. Mancias is posting that he is with Evan Duke, Myron Dewey, and Roger Machete. They're in Brownsville, Texas. December 1st, Empathy Now, Stop the Tears. That's who they're hanging with right now. And here's a picture of them. Evan Duke, Juan Mancias there in the middle, and I don't know who this dude is, but this is right from his Facebook page. You can see they are together, right? Juan Mancias. Let me show you an article in which they all appear. There's Myron Dewey right there. And this is an article in Green Source, what does it say? greensourcedfw.org. I'll share the link in the comments of this show so that you can, see the article yourself. It's titled, Awake Screening Captures Power of Native American Resistance. You can see a picture there of Turtle Island from the documentary that Myron Dewey and Josh Fox and others produced, which I told you featured many of the people that were involved in framing an innocent Lakota woman named Kathleen Bennett at Standing Rock, something I investigated 2 years ago. We exonerated her, and all of these people weren't just quiet about what happened to Kathleen Bennett. They were involved. They were involved in supporting and hiding the crime committed against that woman. And I fear for anyone that is involved with these people, these shady dealers, that would leave an innocent woman in a jail and another in a hospital to die and never look back and not concern themselves with the consequences of what they've done to those women. That's what these people are capable of. And getting innocent people hurt, injured, as like what we saw at Standing Rock. People that did not plan on being part of a documentary for Josh Fox. People that did not sign up to be James Spion or Josh Fox or Myron Dewey's extras in their movie that they are now peddling all over the world. This article shows you that their film, Awake, captured what it was like to be inside the historic protest using poetic narration by Floris Whitebull and footage shot by Native American filmmaker Myron Dewey, along with Emmy Award-winning filmmaker Josh Fox and James Spion. And then right below that, you see who I am talking about, Juan Mancias here. The film, screened Monday night by Green Source DFW and its parent nonprofit, the Menancine Institute. Remember them, everyone? When I told you about Ann Thompson-Frenk and her weird institute? Her pseudoscience, pseudo-religious cult institute was shown in Dallas at the anniversary of one of the most brutal confrontations during the standoff. The documentary shows footage from the November day when the peaceful unarmed protesters were sprayed with water cannons in sub-freezing temperatures, doused with tear gas, and pelted with rubber bullets. There's the millionaire lady from Nexus and her husband, those who founded the Manamana Institute. And from left here, you can see the founder is Ann Thompson-Frenk. And then we've got, I guess, Joshua Frank. We've got Michelle Cook. She goes by another name. You've seen her in my shows as well. Yolanda Bluehorse and Juan Mancias. This guy right here. Plus Eric Reed. Okay? So I wanted to show you that he is connected not only to Myron Dewey, not only to Evan Duke and all these anarcho-activists, but also to the billionaire lady. The billionaire lady. And now this Juan Mancias. Okay? Connecting the dots for you. Where are they now? Well, let me show you. Juan Mancias is posting. I don't know if you guys saw this. TYT was doing a video this yesterday, I think it was, for the climate change summit thing. And so was Shailene Woodley. And was Shailene Woodley, TYT, and Indigenous Life Movement. They were all streaming this thing with Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez. And Juan Mancias, of course, posted about it. See, this is all part of how they're promoting a green economy. They astroturfed an issue of Indigenous rights and sovereignty in North Dakota so that they can sell solar panels, so that they can push green energy deals in Congress. And they're doing the same thing, astroturfing the caravan. It's not like they care about the issue per se or the individuals. They care about the political proxy that it gives them, the political power that it gives them to jump on these issues. But really, there's this behind it, right? So here's the post by Juan Mancias. As you can see, he's tagged in the post with Ann Thompson-Frenk. Right there at the very top. And 34 others. But he doesn't just tag her. She talks to him. You see that? Ann Thompson says, "She's wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Juan." Okay? And remember, Ann Thompson-Frenk was constantly talking to Wesley Clark Jr., the guy that took the veterans out there. You're going to see more about the veterans being brought out for this stuff. I just want to make sure that the authorities and the people and the media and the Mexican people in Tijuana get hold of this information and are aware of who's in their backyard, because they have every right to know. Let me show you what the camps in Texas look like. Remember I told you they're starting their camps in Texas? Check it out. Here they are. They're in someone's backyard. Look, it's like... I got a grill out here, a bunch of tanks. Evan Duke posted this, and he says, Eagle and Condor, Miniwachoni, no LNG, breaking ground, Texas Protector Camp, need builders and scouts, front lines, no walls, no borders, contact on signal. and there's literally 2 houses right there. Can you see them? Those houses? They're hanging out backyard. It's connected to an electricity pole right here. He's got his laptop. This is that Joe Plouffe guy that I told you is with the Asylum Seeker Support Network. I think he does a lot of the veteran stuff. And as you can see, they're like, hey, come on out. Here's one of those other Standing Rock phonies, Angela Printup. Remember her? She's ready to donate. Where do I send you my money? And that's all about. Money, 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 money. Money and power. They like it. They want it. Here's another picture of their camp. It's kind of... Can you really call it camping if you're just doing it in your own backyard? Like, I don't know. Is that still, I guess it's still camping, but I don't know. It seems like they were trying to make it seem like they were going to build this whole village out in the middle of nowhere. Well, here's some of those soldiers that they're looking for. Here's some of the people traveling around with Evan Duke, Cam McCoy, and Lilith. Lilith Sinclair, the lady that was posting about dead people in the ocean, the sensationalist, all of those things. You can see this is what they are doing. Your friendly neighborhood anti-fascist organizer. They're Antifas. They're Antifas looking for a fight. This is what these folks do. They go places and they start fights. They look for Nazis to fight. If there are no monsters to fight, they invent them. And then they start violent skirmishes with police. That's what they did at Standing Rock. It's what they want to go do in Mexico. I'm just telling you who these people are. Okay? This is what they're about. This is what they do for fun. They're dangerous. And I wanted you to see Ann Thompson-Frenk, of course, the Mancias post that I showed you earlier. It has this is a Young Turks video that they're sharing. I told you that Wes Clark Jr., of course, used to work at the Young Turks, and the Young Turks, and Cenk in particular, have been involved all the way, going back all the way to Occupy Wall Street, with many of these same figures, and as Justice Democrats promoted politicians like this one, Ocasio-Cortez. But look at all the other people Juan Mancias tags along with Ann Thompson-Frenk. Did any of these names seem familiar to you? I have questions about why these people are being tagged by Juan Mancias working with Nexus. Evan Duke, Evan K. Duke III, same person. There's that Wiyaka Otto that was spreading lies, that radio station that was spreading lies about Kathleen Bennett. And I don't know who gave him this crazy name, but that's just funny to me. There's that Eva Leal that's in Texas with them right now. Eric Poemesea. Remember that guy that was interviewing Miko? They got involved in that whole Me Too thing that was attacking Missy Waddell. Yeah, he's in there too. And let's see. What else we got in here? Well, I'm Remigio Mancias Jr. There's another Mancias. Here's another Mancias. Here's another Mancias. Here's another Mancias. Lots of Mancias. Okay. So we know they're working together. Let's talk about TYT. Remember that Mark Lane I told you? Mark Lane. And I told you that he was working with Pitaya Queen as well, the LGBTQ caravan leader who is wanted for trafficking human beings. I also told you that they are promoting propaganda, negative propaganda about the Mexican government's support of the caravan, trying to put out a false narrative that makes it seem as if the Mexican people and the Mexican government and the people in Tijuana and immigration authorities in Mexico, far from being the welcoming, kind, humanitarian people that they have actually been, provable by a lot of different evidence. Instead, they're trying to paint them as if they were holding them hostage, keeping them in concentration camps, and treating them like crap. It's a bitter pill to swallow when you look at the footage they're putting out while they're saying this nonsense, because clearly that's not happening. But that doesn't really matter to them because they just think that you're going to believe this nonsense. And Mark Lane is one of those people that is at the forefront. I showed you yesterday he appears in a lot of articles about the Central American migrants, as if he, the white guy that knows nothing about Mexico, should be the authority on this topic. Here's an article in the San Diego Tribune, which I share with you in the comments of this show, helping the Central American migrants, the do's and don'ts. I showed this to you yesterday as well by Peter Rowe, if you will recall. One of the things I wanted to point out in this article is the kinds of things that Mark Lane is doing. I wanted to show you that they're talking about a young lady with cerebral palsy here. It says, Lane found Juan Alberto Matthew and his 7-year-old daughter, Leslie, in the back of the shelter. Leslie, who had run out of the medication used to treat her cerebral palsy, was crying and clutching her head as her father held her. Wow, the imagery, it just, makes you very sad, right? Lacking the needed medicines to treat her cerebral palsy, Lane did what he could. He gave the father 2 packages of oversized diapers and 2 packs of wipes. He told one of the shelter's organizers that he would return with more supplies and try to fill Leslie's prescription for her cerebral palsy. That might have been our best delivery yet, he said. Being able to go right to the people. Okay? Well, it turns out that this young lady that he claims has cerebral palsy does not have cerebral palsy. Just like Marcus Mitchell wasn't shot by 2 bullets, that they were raising money for that. Turns out this girl does not have cerebral palsy. As you can see right here, he posts it himself. Nemo, can you get me a ranitidine, please? We have a call to action. You shouldn't have had that second cup of coffee. We took Leslie to a pediatric neurologist last night. Her issues are something other than cerebral palsy. She's never actually had an actual diagnosis from a doctor since she fell ill at 2 years of age. Well, then why is it in the San Diego Tribune saying that Mark was trying to get that prescription for cerebral palsy refilled. How would you specifically say you're refilling a prescription for cerebral palsy medication? She's never even been diagnosed ever. She was sick at 2, never been taken to a doctor, treated, never been taken to a neurologist and diagnosed, but you were telling everyone she had cerebral palsy. See how they make things up? Exaggerate them. Invent things out of whole cloth. Crazy. Check it out. And he says that her mother abandoned her and family about 4 years ago because she didn't want to take care of her. Leslie's father pushed her in a wheelchair from Honduras all the way to Tijuana. Okay. Most of the people in the caravan got rides in buses, and they left the one girl in a wheelchair on the road to walk and run. What, for the photo ops? Come on now. Y'all believe that? Also, notice his humanity. They're going to need some money, by the way. So she's going to do she's had 4 seizures. She started an anti-seizure med. There are going to be costs over $1,000. So donate here. The Minority Humanitarian Foundation. The Minority Humanitarian Foundation. Really weird. Nonprofit focused on Iraqi refugees somehow now inserting itself here in the Migrant Caravan. This is another group promoting the same thing here. Punks for Progress. They're talking about this same child in the wheelchair here on the lower corner, you can see. And it's posted in Activism. Actually, that group I told you has been posting in the Asylum Seekers Caravan Support Network. They too were promoting this story of the girl in the wheelchair. She got rides sometimes. He pushed her from Honduras to Tijuana, right? All Juan Carlos, her father, wants is to get his daughter medical help and not get killed by gangs. Very dramatic story. Look how they latch on to these types of stories to get money out of you and me. Activism actually is sharing Mark Lane's post here, so you can see they're all connected. Okay, please share. Activism actually is promoting Mark Lane, TYT, and all of this is being put in the pages of Asylum Seekers Caravan Support Network on Facebook, where they house all these phony people and groups. And you know what? We couldn't miss Linda Sarsour in all of this. Remember, I told you she is one of the founders of the Women's March. Well, oops, I guess that's not true. She's actually no longer one of the founders of the Women's March. She was kicked out for her anti-Semitic. I mean, I pointed this stuff out to you before, but now you can see for yourself. She was very upset after they removed her from the Women's March. I think it took them long enough. I think her and the co-founder were both kicked out for their anti-Semitic views. Not to mention that I pointed out to you that that leader, Linda Sarsour, is connected to the group that was raising funds for Hamas, a terrorist organization. People in Linda Sarsour's family went to prison in Israel for raising money for terrorists organizations, for Hamas. Those are the facts. But also, she's anti-Semitic. They finally caught up to her, and this is what she had to say about it. Notice, Mark Lane is a fanboy. He feels for her. Check it. Mark Lane of TYT, let's not forget, he's down there doing the coverage. He's connected to the LGBTQ caravan leader, Pitaya Queen, promoting them as well. It says, Linda Sarsour's post reads, wait a minute. This is actually right after the article came out saying that she and Tamika Mallory were kicked out for their anti-Semitic views. And she said, did anyone actually think they were going to sit back and watch women of color lead and build a powerful intersectional movement and not try every tactic at their disposal to tear us down? Did anyone actually think that a black woman from Harlem, a Palestinian American woman from Brooklyn, and a Chicana Mexican woman from Oxnard weren't going to be vilified, targeted, questioned, and attacked? That our leadership would not be undermined and our labor erased? Folks, this is all in the history books, playing out like it's supposed to, except we're here to be cycle breakers so future generations don't have to go through what we're going through. I believe wholeheartedly that we were made especially for this because what we have seen and experienced is beyond what ordinary individuals can withstand. I stay clear-eyed and focused, and Bell Hooks centers me with her words in this moment. Quote, sometimes people try to destroy you precisely because they recognize your power, not because they don't see it, but because they see it and they don't want it to exist. Clearly, she is upset about losing her position in the Women's March, losing her power, being called out. And you know what's funny? I saw all of these Standing Rock phonies, Standing Rock leaders that misguided people, that defrauded people out of millions and millions of dollars. These lawyers affiliated with the WPLC that were supporting groups that went to Israel. Like Tara Houska went to Israel with Chase Iron Eyes and that group of people that was with Linda Sarsour. Remember that? And somebody got put in jail over there and deported because they were with the BDSM group, which is considered a terrorist organization there. Well, it should be considered a terrorist organization everywhere because they call for the genocide of Jewish people. And Linda Sarsour and her family are anti-Semitic, and they supported terrorist organizations like Hamas. Okay? Homeland Security is onto her. How on earth she became the leader of the Women's March and the Poor People's Campaign and all of the stuff that came out of that, I don't know. But as I was watching all of these phonies converge around and AstroTurf the Migrant Caravan, I said to myself, how long before Linda Sarsour shows up? And then there she was. I was like, oh dear God. Is she going down to Tijuana? Watch out, Linda. All I can say to all these phonies is, you ain't going to get away with the same things in Mexico that you get away with or that you've gotten away with here. So watch out. Be careful. Let me show you some other connections here. Excuse me. Boy, that's cold. Ooh. So here, this Ari Onarvar posted way back in April, guys. I'm going there now. Please help if you can. And she's tagged Nicole Ramos. Pay attention to that name. It's important. Nicole Ramos has posted this from San Isidro at the Garita, El Chaparral. That's the crossing called El Chaparral. And she's talking about people, families and with babies and young children, breastfeeding mothers, pregnant women, trans women, young women with partial paralysis in a wheelchair. all sleeping on concrete outside the U.S. port of entry. It's been almost 12 hours. Still, CBP has not processed a single asylum seeker. And they tag, Mark Lane comments here, tagging Sarah Hillard, or responding to Sarah Hillard, saying, Ari Onarvar says, donate money to Mark Lane. He's buying supplies. We're heading down together. So Mark Lane is going with this Ari Onarvar down to Tijuana, and they're telling other people to donate to him, right? Ari says, you can't donate via Facebook, which doesn't charge fees. You can donate via Facebook, which doesn't charge fees. And Sarah says, thanks, I just sent him some money. I didn't know you could do that in Facebook Messenger. Easy. Mark Lane says, thanks. And then Adi says, just got back from Mexico. It was quite a scene. We distributed diapers and food. A few babies, young children were there. Mark Lane received over $600, which he gave to one of the volunteers there to buy supplies. I'll keep everyone posted about what happens next. We awaited 2.5 hours in line to get back to San Diego. And then Birdie Gutierrez in the house. Beep, 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 beep. And she says, hi, Adi, love. Love thy neighbor at 335 Church Avenue has clothes, pull-up diapers, toiletries, shoes, and blankets for our migrant brothers and sisters who came in the caravan. We need folks who can pick up donations from the office and drive donations to Tijuana to deliver them. Any questions? Please call me directly. There's your phone numbers with Mark Lane, Nicole, Ramos, and Alex Mensing. So putting dots together here, kids. These folks working together. And you know, Birdie is being promoted in Asylum Seekers Caravan Support Network, right? Here they are, Birdie Gutierrez with Mark Lane and the Bridge of Love Across the Border, her group. Check it out. There's Mark Lane, Birdie Gutierrez. They're all together. They're all working together, promoting each other. It's just one big circle jerk of people associated with Standing Rock and other things. They've obviously worked together in the past. Oh, was that al otro lado? Okay. I keep opening the same link over and over and over. I don't know why. Okay, next one. Next, I'm going to show you who this Nicole Ramos is. This video was posted recently in Asylum Seeker Caravan Support Network. And it is Miss Ramos complaining about the border.
Good evening. This is Nicole Ramos, Director of the Border Rights Project of Al Otro Lado, standing outside the Chaparral Port of Entry in Tijuana, Mexico. I don't know if you all can see behind me, but there are barricades. They're checking documents, so people cannot pass to get to the U.S. gate unless they show a passport or a visa, which means this essentially that their asylum seekers are being blocked from even getting to the gate to ask for asylum, which is a violation of their rights under international human rights law, also a violation of the right to seek asylum under Title 8, Section 1225 of the United States Code. Apparently, one of the officials advised me that if you needed to seek asylum, that you needed to speak with Grupo Beta, which is a part of Mexican immigration. This would be very interesting, particularly for Mexican asylum seekers who are trying to escape their own country. For those of you who care about refugees, please diffuse this video. There is deep collaboration going on to prevent asylum seekers who are trapped in Tijuana, thousands, from accessing the port of entry. And this is just simply not acceptable. It's a violation of human rights law, and we must put a stop to it. So thank you for watching. And please come out to the port of entry and ask questions of these officials, as it is your right to do as U.S. and Mexican citizens.
Okay. So, just a reminder, the United States has its own laws, immigration laws, and asylum rules. It is very, very difficult to get asylum, not just in the United States, in any country. The criteria is very narrow. You need to be in imminent danger of being killed, and you have to prove it in court. So, while it is true that the United States government, if you're already in the United States because you fled the other country that you were going to be killed in, and you got into the United States somehow, and you told them, look, I came in illegally because I was scared I was going to die and I needed to get here quick, and so now I'm here. While they do allow, sometimes, not always, it's up to them, to the authorities to decide this. While they allow sometimes for people to remain in the country, many times in a detention center, but now, you know, more frequently they'll put an ankle bracelet on people and they'll let them go. While they determine your eligibility, while they give you a hearing date and your hearing date comes up and you go and prove whether or not you qualify for asylum, they let some people stay. It's not the norm. It's not something that's required of the United States. And if they had their druthers, they'd rather have you apply from the country where you're at before you come here. And if they had their druthers, if you choose not to do that, they're going to put you in a detention center. If they had their druthers, they'll deport you back to your country and make you apply the proper way through an attorney, rather than allow you to just come into the country and then apply. They can do that. They do sometimes do that, but it is at their discretion if they choose to do that. The same is true for who is let into Mexico and what their laws are. They are done their way, and they're done at their discretion. They can choose to be generous with how many people they give asylum to, or stingy. They can choose to be generous with how many people they give visas to, or stingy. And as you already know, the United States doesn't want people from Central America or Mexico. Didn't you hear President Trump say he doesn't like them? So obviously, that number is going to be on the stingy side, not on the generous side when it comes to the United States. Those are just the facts. Is it fair? Is it racist? We could debate that all day, but it doesn't matter because I'm just talking about the facts, the way that the system currently works. And if you're going to talk about the law like this woman is talking about, then you have to apply the current law. You can't pick and choose. Oh, ideally, I would like it to be like this, and it would be with open borders, and people could just come whenever they felt like it. Yes, ideally, in your fantasy mind, it would be like that, but that's not reality. See, that's the thing. Reality, listen, I'm a Mexican. I have people in my family that are undocumented. I have people in my family that have migrated here, right? So I have empathy for the process, for, you know, most people don't understand immigration law. It's very, very difficult to understand. And a lot of people don't understand the process by which people have to apply for visas, asylums. How do you come in correctly, as many people like to say? Come in correctly. Many people don't know how difficult and almost nearly impossible it is to come in correctly if you come from south of the border, anywhere south of the border. And so I often get frustrated with Americans who don't really understand the law. As a paralegal, it's always frustrated me that lay people argue about laws and what's legal and what's not legal when they don't understand the laws they're talking about. And it is especially frustrating to hear people do it with regard to immigration policy, which is one of the most complicated forms of law that we have in America, bar none, except for maybe tax law. So for people like this, and I don't know if she's a lawyer or an advocate or what, but for people like, look, I know a lot of lawyers and I know immigration lawyers. And you know what? They're very reluctant to flippantly be talking about what the rules are and how they should be followed in America. You know why? Because real lawyers don't want to poop where they eat. They don't want to disparage the system that they have to ask to be kind, to be generous, to be understanding to their clients, right? They won't even speak publicly about policies that upset them because they don't want their bias to infect their clients' cases. Clearly, this woman, advocate, whatever she is, has a bias, and it does not track with reality. And that's problematic, especially if she's trying to help people that are migrants, because it is very difficult to get into the United States for most people. And you know, you would hope that these organizations that are purportedly helping people come into the United States are doing it for the right reasons and not merely to exploit this suffering that they're going through right now. I will bring you more about Miss Ramos at a later time. I just wanted to point out some things to you that I found about her real quick and what she's connected to, things that concern me given what I have seen. Now remember, I told you we've already exposed Pitaya Queen, the leader of the LGBTQIA caravan, and the fact that she's been accused of trafficking people, sex trafficking, prostitution, exploitation, and discrimination of people within the LGBTQ caravan, of leaving them stranded without support, about lying to them about the reasons that they were coming and what they could expect. And here you find that Nicole is connected to Pitaya Queen. Nicole Ramos is talking here about her team Al Otro Lado volunteering in Tijuana. This is in October of this year. And she says asylum seekers may be on the move. They may have left much of their lives behind them, but the creative spirits travel with them all the way as they migrate boldly toward a freedom-filled future. Migrar no es un delito. Refugees are welcome. Volunteer and donate. Al Otro Lado. Check out our volunteer coordinator, Catherine Gordon. Here she is. And in the comments is Miss OJ Pitaya, a.k.a. Pitaya Queen, a.k.a. Nikai Flot. En noviembre nos vemos. See you in November, she says. So, all of those folks are connected. All the folks that are working with people connected to Standing Rock, to the protests at Standing Rock, are now inserting themselves in Mexico in an issue that affects primarily Tijuana and Mexican people all throughout Mexico, because the caravan is going through Mexico. And whatever happens, Mexico is going to have to deal with the caravan, not the United States, not these organizers, and not the people manipulating the people in the caravan, trying to use them as a weapon to rush the border so that they can throw tear gas and rubber bullets, not only at the caravan, but at the people in Mexico. That's what's happening. And of course, they're shutting down commerce at the border. Now, whatever happened to that other story, now that I've exposed the little girl that had cerebral palsy that doesn't have cerebral palsy anymore, maybe she'll just vanish like so many of these other stories. But whatever happened to the C-section lady? Y'all remember that? They were saying that the Mexican authorities, among the many things they're saying about the Mexican authorities, they were saying the Mexicans are not giving medical care to the caravan. They're not giving them the basic needs that they have. When in fact that isn't true. Many of these organizers that are lying about the medical treatment and the services that Mexico is providing to the caravan have probably availed themselves of the medical services that have been right there on site at El Benito Juarez Sports Unit, the first temporary location of the caravan for their shelter, and now at El Barretal in the district of Matamoros. They too are also present to provide medical care. But these folks are trying to say that Exodus members are expressing repeatedly that donations and medical attention are being withheld. By who? By the government. At the shelters in both Tijuana and at El Barretal. And that there's a woman in the shelter in need of a C-section. Remember, Dave Gaskin was saying he was going to ride along? I might be riding along, he said. Whatever happened? They were raising money. They needed $2,000 to get this woman a C-section. What happened to her? Somebody asks, does anybody know if this is legitimate? And someone says, I'm wondering the same thing. Lots of us are wondering that, Dave. Lots of us are wondering. Someone says, well, it's a real doctor. Look, here's her Instagram account. I showed you Psych Calderon Vargas, the weed doctress. I showed you the article about her. And then I talked to you about Laura Berger. Laura Livingston Berger, a.k.a. Lali B. Yoga instructor extraordinaire, fancies herself a medic of some sort, comes in here to validate, yes, it is confirmed there is a woman in need of medical services, but when they found a doctor for her, they were not able to locate her. Poof, she vanished. She disappeared. We'll update if I hear more later. Meanwhile, the best place to contribute to medical team is PayPal, psychcalderon@gmail.com. Hey, the lady that we raised the money for the C-section, she just vanished into thin air. But while we figure out what new scam to pull on you, would you please put some more money in this PayPal account? Please. And then someone asked, do you know which PayPal they're using so I can send a bit? And someone says, I'm glad she made it to the OB. And Lolly says back to Suzanne, correction. They have found an OBGYN for her, but when they returned to provide services, they could not find the woman in need. Sad face. Uh-oh. We lost a pregnant woman that needed an emergency C-section. Oh, no. And there's Lilith Sinclair. The money goes straight to one of the lead doctoras. Oh, that's right. Lolly speaks some Spanish. And Lilith Sinclair, that's traveling with Myron Dewey and Cam McCoy. The woman that I showed you yesterday was bitching and moaning about the conditions of El Barretal, talking smack about the human rights watchers that were present there. First, they were complaining that there was no human rights organizations watching over the caravan, and then when they arrived, they were angry at them. Well, Lilith Sinclair is talking to Lolly too. Thank you, Lolly, for helping with updates. We are still at El Barretal and have been unable to find the woman in need. If we cannot find her today or in the next few days, any monetary donations will go straight toward the medical needs of the Exodus. Don't worry, everyone. If you donated for the emergency C-section, just like, Marcus Mitchell when he wasn't shot, Lolly B said, all these people said, don't worry. Don't feel bad because you donated to a fraud campaign, something that turned out to be completely not true. We're going to give it to something else. We're not giving it back to you. That's not going to happen. We're not returning the money. We're going to give it to somebody else. So there you have it. The lady with the C-section has disappeared. How does this happen? How do they lose that? How do you lose a pregnant woman about to give birth, right? And here is an update from Activism. Actually, this came directly from Cam McCoy, who, again, is traveling right now with Jessie Sandoval and Lilith Sinclair and Wiyaka Eagleman. They're all at El Barretal, sticking their noses where no one called them to be. And he is saying here, we're currently on the ground at El Barretal working with Exodus members. Here is a brief update written by Cam McCoy. The Federales are clamping down on all donations and media except for pre-approved orgs. They are holding a big symposium of who's who to present their findings and coordinate a humanitarian response. No members of the Exodus have been invited or were even informed or consulted in this report. Word is right now that migration is inside El Barretal. Migration? You mean immigration. Pendejo. People are worried they might make a sweep. A woman in need of an emergency C-section has been stuck inside. Oh no! She's a captive, Duke! Oh dear God. I thought they lost her. Now she's a captive? Boy, this is turning into a hostage situation. Government doctors are denying she exits. They are holding her hostage. Dear Lord, what will happen to her? I haven't seen a single picture of this pregnant woman. All promises of autonomy and agency for the Exodus have been broken at this point. This is the Ally Industrial Complex in action. F your borders, F your governments, and F your complicit NGOs. Does that sound peaceful and prayerful to you? Does this sound like professional activists that are speaking on behalf of a migrant caravan that is being hosted in Mexico? And you're telling Mexican authorities, F you, F you, F you, F you? While they are graciously housing these folks and feeding them and taking up donations for them only because you can't do whatever the hell you want to do there, because you have to follow the laws and the rules of that country, because there are controls over who enters and exit and who exploits the caravan? Is that your problem? I told you that that's their problem. Their problem is that the Mexican authorities are sick of people manipulating and causing divisiveness in their backyard, in their home. And these American activists working together with the caravan leaders, the people that created this caravan, who never told the truth to the people in the caravan about what their goals were, what their political ends were, manipulated those people. Yeah. Well, now those folks want to come in to El Barretal, which is being run by the government, rented by the government, guarded by the Marines, the Mexican Marines and the Mexican Federal Police and the Mexican State Police and the Tijuana local police. There are numerous Mexican human rights organizations there. And there's a variety of, outposts, I guess, groups there, including Mexican immigration authorities that are there to help people sign up for asylum in Mexico, work visas in Mexico, and give them information about what their chances are of applying for asylum in the United States and how to go about that process. Yes, Mexican immigration authorities would be there because that's their charge. That's what they do. They're not the same as American immigration authorities. We don't have ICE, okay? These people, these American organizers are trying to equate the federales, and they're trying to equate all of these Mexican people and organizations to American organizations. And also they're trying to say that they are evil, that they are corrupt, that they are enslaving, that they are abusing, torturing, keeping people hungry, forcing hunger strikes, stifling free speech. They're lying. They're lying exorbitantly. There is zero evidence of the things that they claim that the Mexican government is doing to the caravan. And they're doing it so that they can have an excuse to rebel, to cause disorder, to disrupt the peace, to commit crimes, to try to rush the border and shut the border down, to try to cross illegally into the United States. They want to have an excuse, and they're going to use, the big bad Mexican government as that excuse. I just want to be clear at what it is that they are doing. And a lot of this American media, many of whom were at Standing Rock, are helping them push this narrative that the caravan goers, their voice isn't being heard. The caravan goers have been getting interviewed and followed with more media than I have ever seen any migrant in history. It's never happened before. Migrants have never had this much press, this much autonomy, this much power, this much leverage. Never. Because usually, again, they travel in small groups or alone. And so for these folks to be saying that Mexican authorities are trying, what do you expect them to do? You expect them to let people that are in their country that came in undocumented, many of whom refuse to identify themselves even to this moment, run their own camp or run their own shelter? They're just supposed to relinquish the authority of all of the agencies and charged with the jobs that these Mexican agencies are doing to the caravan or to the Americans organizing this. And by the way, remember, these folks are the same folks that tell you, it's the caravan. We're just here to give them agency. We're just here to give them power. We're just here to help the people on the ground. We're not organizing anything. We're not doing anything. Then why are you so mad? Why are you so mad when you don't get your way? It's not you that's getting hurt, right? It's the caravan goers, right? Okay. Let me show you. Activism Actually is posting from Oregon to Tijuana and now to El Berretal. And what do they say? We will be on the ground with Dave Gaskin, with Digital Smoke Signals, with Cam McCoy, and Jessie Sandoval, and we are committed to providing news on the real situation on the ground and empowering the members of the Exodus. Right? They're there to empower the Exodus, not to lead the Exodus, not to manipulate the Exodus, not to misinform the Exodus. Oh no, just to empower. Stay tuned here and on our pages for more information. And then Gaskin says in his post, going to grab the tent, sleeping bags, warm clothes, battery packs, and some food. Looks like we're going to have a sleepover tonight at the Barretal Migrant Caravan Camp in Tijuana. We want to have direct information from them and be able to send out updates of the movement. If anyone wants to donate, then please do so. They need all sorts of assistance. I encourage prayers for the babies, the moms, the dads, the grandmas, and the gramps. Chimiquech, creator for his beautiful gift of life, Mexico Life, Eagle and Condor, Caravan, okay? And moments later, we see that they're talking about this is the same one. But notice, just to make sure that you notice that they're committed to providing news. None of these people, including Digital Smoke Signals, has a history, has a record has any skills, has anything on their resume that shows them to be a journalist. Just because you're sitting there with a camera on a live stream does not mean that you are a journalist. Doesn't mean that you're investigating anything. It doesn't mean that you're reporting things accurately. Now, these people are trying to claim that they are journalists there to report, because you have to have the real information, and the rest of the media isn't going to give it to you. Only they can give it to you. Here's a post in which they're talking about, actually this is a video, and let me get my timestamp here so I know where we're going to. Let me set this video up for you, because it's like 12 minutes long, and I don't want to play the whole thing. But go on Jessie Sandoval's page, or Asylum Seekers Caravan Support Network, or any of these other pages that are reposting them, like Activism, actually. And you can find it and watch the whole thing for yourself if you're so inclined. In it, you have Jessie Sandoval talking to one of the members of the caravan who seems to have some kind of position of leadership of the rest of the caravan, even though they tell you there is no such thing. But there is. And they're skulking around, filming and looking at these people that have these vests on, these jackets on, who they're talking about in whispered tones must be, you know, somebody in authority in the Barretal organization, right? Managing that shelter. And so they walk up to this guy, and, you know, he has a government patch on his arm. It's pretty clear to me that he's some kind of law enforcement or something like that. Not everyone else there is. There's some people that are from different government agencies. There's also people there from churches and people there from the military doing humanitarian work, besides the federal police, besides the local police, etc. So they identify this particular guy who they think is some kind of authority, and he is. They claim that he's working with immigration, Mexican immigration authorities. He then proceeds to ask the guy a question, and this is all while Sandoval is rolling tape on them, right? And the guy notices that she's doing that, and he says, "Sure, I will answer your question, but I'm going to do that with you privately. I'm not going to talk in front of a camera," because, see, immigration authority advice, answering questions about immigration status or sensitive things like that is almost like talking about somebody's medical condition in front of someone else. Pero esta pendeja piensa que tiene el derecho. She just, I want so much for transparency. She's all pissed off that the guys didn't stand there and discuss immigration status and information right in front of a live stream. So anyway, any more than you would talk to an immigration lawyer in front of people. Like, that's confidential information you don't put on a live stream. Luckily, the professional in the live stream knew better and walked away from her. And they had a conversation about whatever this guy asked him, out of earshot and away from her camera. Then they come back, and the guy that is part of the caravan leadership tells her in Spanish he thinks that the guy, well, he says the guy that he talked to did work for immigration, and then you hear Sandoval saying, "Are you telling me that immigration is running this place now?" And you can't really hear exactly what he says back, but it's clear that they're guessing as to who's running the Barretal, and they're extrapolating from one conversation that, you know, she's now hearing about secondhand from a guy that is not from Mexico and is just one of the leaders of this caravan, thinking that perhaps yes, because that's what she says. He told her that there's immigration. And of course, immigration is there. Immigration has always been aware of the presence of the migrant caravan in this country and Mexico. But also, they're there to provide services so that people can get naturalized either in the United States or here in Mexico where they are right now. Excuse me, there in Mexico where they are right now, so that they can start working or get an apartment so they don't have to be homeless and sitting in a shelter for months and months and months and months. Plans are currently to prepare the federal government, the state government, and the local government to prepare resources such that they can provide for this caravan for a year. That's how long they estimate it's going to take to resolve all of these cases. So, you know, how accurate this caravan goer's assessment and or his retelling of what his conversation was with one person that he spoke to, how accurate that is, how accurate their assessment of what they heard was, is anyone's guess. I'm guessing based on other things they reported, probably not that great. But what I will tell you is that Jessie Sandoval becomes unhinged as she is hearing what he is telling her, which is very difficult to discern. So I can't tell you by translating what he said to her, whether or not she accurately is reporting what he said. Because then she says, let me stop and translate what you just said to me. And she proceeds to say something in English that is clear. Although, as I said, she becomes unhinged and starts crying and acting very erratically. And she is angry. She is a mixture. You tell me what you think, but she's a mixture of impotent and angry that what this means, what it means that she can't do what she wants. One of the things that they say in here is that they were promised, the caravan goers were promised job fairs and booths to sign up for, you know, being able to stay in Mexico and all this other stuff. And then it turns out it's not true. Well, that's simply a lie. Mexico has been offering them job fairs. The local news media in Tijuana has reported a number of people that are already working. 600 plus people that signed up to get work visas in Mexico are already working, and more than 2,000 are awaiting the process to get their work visas. So they have been holding job fairs for these folks. They've shown on television all throughout Tijuana news that people are attending by the hundreds. So they're holding one right there at El Barretal. There is no reason to believe that they would pull the job fair just because these charlatans want you to think otherwise. But in addition to that, they're claiming that now this shelter, which is being run by the federales and Mexican immigration, is going to just do sweeps of the camp, round everybody up and deport them. The incoming president, which they curse at, which they damn, the government of Mexico that just came in, the new administration, which said in his inaugural speech that he was going to put indigenous populations in Mexico first. First time in history this has happened. That promised that he would not deport the migrant caravan, but instead that he would receive them, that they were here to stay, that he would embrace them, offer them amnesty and work, and that they did not have to keep fleeing for their lives from violence, that Mexico would offer them a better life if the United States did not. That's who they're cursing? Well, let me tell you, all of your lying, especially in Mexico, about Mexicans is going to go over like a lead balloon. And I believe it already has. I believe it already has for them. Because, as I told you, I have been passing this information on to folks in Mexico so that they can become aware. Let me show you how unhinged and crazy Sandoval goes, just so you can listen for yourself.
So my compañero Ulises just told me that immigration official basically on the DL unofficially told him that Mexican immigration is taking over Barranquilla. They are, they're taking over, and the barricades we saw in the front, they are not official. Originally, they had told the people that their barricades were to control the flow of traffic. This is a concentration camp, okay? It's a fucking concentration camp.
Okay, it's back. Hold
my
on.
compañero just said that.
Okay, I gotta rewind it.
DL unofficially told him. My compañero Ulises just.
Yo siento que aquí los quieren acorralados.
So my compañero Ulises just told me that immigration official basically on the DL unofficially told him that Mexican immigration is taking over Barranquilla. They are, they're taking over, and the barricades we saw in the front, they are not official. Originally, they had told the people that their barricades were to control the flow of traffic of people coming in and for the people here in El Barretal, because they were going to do some kind of job fair. And it's not true. That's not what it's for. It's so that they can control the flow of traffic going in and out, period, of who is going to come in and who's going to leave. So immigration is taking over. Mexican immigration is taking over. This is a concentration camp, okay? It's a fucking concentration camp. And my compañero just said that they are feeling like they are being herded and pinned in here. Okay?
Entonces, ellos quieren tener el control de quién va a entrar y quién va a salir. Él dice que los va a dejar salir, cuando estoy viendo las mallas que no. Por eso no quieren dejar el ingreso de vehículos ni de nada. Y como me pidió mis datos, no sé para qué, pero yo solo di mi primer nombre.
The immigration official took his information and the person that I'm speaking to. It's a lot of pressure, so he just told me that he took down his information. He doesn't know why. He just gave him his first name, but he took down his information. So I'm really hoping they don't profile our compañero over here as an agitator, and also because he's taking a lot of risk, even talking to me and being seen by foreigners, me and my two compañeros. He's taking a lot of risk, but my compañero hondureño, he's like really bold and courageous, and he just wants everyone to know what the fuck is going on here. So please spread the word about the fuck shit that's going on in Barretal, because this is fucked up, okay? He said that the immigration official assured him that they were gonna let people get out, right? But I don't see a lot of confidence in my friend over here. He doesn't really feel that confidence.
Entonces yo ahorita voy a ver cómo me movilizo yo.
No, ustedes no están solos. No estamos solos, okay?
Look at the concentration camp, everyone.
I'm gonna have to fucking sleep here. I'm not fucking leaving until we get answers. We're not leaving Barretal today until we get some fucking answers. I'm not leaving. We're not leaving our friends here. We're not leaving our family. We're holding it down here. We're holding it down here. We're not fucking leaving. Because my friend is crying right now. And you understand that? We're not fucking leaving. We're staying right here.
We're staying here.
We're not letting the media in. Our friend Milton Benitez, who's a hondureño journalist. So we're gonna mobilize here. We're not leaving Barretal. Everybody know this. The people that I tagged in this post. Can I say you guys?
Yeah.
Cameron, say your name.
Yeah, this is Cameron McCoy.
This is Lilith Sinclair.
And this is Jessie Sandoval. We are not fucking leaving Barretal today. Okay? We're staying here. We're gonna stay with our people. We're not fucking leaving. Okay, we're gonna, I think we should sign off for a bit
Yeah.
and assess what the fuck's going on a little bit more. Okay, please send us prayers, please send us love, and we're holding it down here, okay? Tell everybody.
Well, see, their true colors are coming out. They're becoming more and more militant. Why on earth would somebody cry because Mexican authorities are in charge of a Mexican shelter on Mexican land, following their own Mexican laws? Why is this crazy woman oh no, the federales and that's normal. That's what's supposed to happen. Why are you cracking up and breaking down? Oh, because you thought you were running things? Interesting. And then she calls, remember I told you they're trying to say that it's very dangerous, that this is controlled by the cartel now. I showed you that they had Mexican border cartoon with Mexican Border Patrol pointing a gun at a migrant caravan woman and her child's head, and narcos pointing a gun at the back of her head, right? They're putting it like, you know, any way you slice it, this caravan's in crisis. Never mind what you just saw with a bunch of happy people playing soccer and music. I've shown you various videos. It's their own videos of the people walking around, getting food, getting donations, getting clothes, getting medical care, going to a school. I was watching videos from people that are Trump supporters, people from Breitbart, people that went down there to try to show the side of the Trump supporters that this caravan is very dangerous and things are really bad and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, wow, this place is super nice where they're staying. They got a little school for the kids. They got a little daycare center going. They got toys and everything for them. Very secure. I was pretty amazed with, you know, it was good to see that the kids were getting adequate shelter and all of these things. This is from people on the right, from people in American politics that are considered conservative, that are against the migrant caravan, that are against migration, that are racist if you want. They're saying the Mexican authorities are handling this shelter very well. Why do these people want you to believe that's not true? Why are they telling you something that defies your eyes? This is a concentration camp now. This is a concentration camp now. I mean, to me, it's disgusting to compare this situation here to actual concentration camps where people were killed, where people were gassed, starved, concentration camps where people have been tortured, mistreated. This is nothing like a concentration camp, Jessie Sandoval. And who does she think that she is? All of these people, they act like imperialists, conquerors in a different country. You can't just go in there with that kind of an attitude and be like, we're effing staying and we're effing doing this and F this and F that. You think you're going to gain people's support in Mexico talking to them like that? Because you're not. They were very adamant online, making sure everyone knew they're not going anywhere and no one's going to stop them. They're going to stay there. They're going to be with their relatives, their family. They don't even know these people in the caravan. Most of these people from the United States that were part of Standing Rock can't even talk to them. They don't know anything about Mexican culture. They certainly don't know anything about Central American culture. Sandoval sounds like she's Puerto Rican. And yes, it does make a big difference. The fact that these folks think that they can go into Mexico and treat Mexicans as if they're a foregone conclusion, as if they can just tap dance on the faces of the Mexican people and the Mexican authorities and do what they want in Mexico with this caravan. You can't. Sorry. But they think they can. I told you that they wouldn't get away with it. they're posting that they're going to be camped out. There's Wiyaka Eagleman. You remember him. He's the nephew of Joy Brunn of the Indigenous Environmental Network. Took his drum and Dewey and Errol Medicine, and they were raising money through Evan Duke and Asylum Seeker Support Network. Also, they could go down and bring good medicine to the people in the caravan, right? It says, we're going to be camped out with our relatives. Why not? Eagle and Condor. Somos un pueblo. And then Wiyaka, I can show you here who he tagged. Lilith Sinclair, Jessie Sandoval, and Jake Lee. We know Jessie Sandoval is there. We know Lilith Sinclair is there. We know Wiyaka is there. And we know Cam is there. Cam McCoy. Right? And then they posted, the Federales show up. Now you can see it is pitch dark. This video I'm about to show you was shot at night. So if you're looking at a blank screen for a minute, don't focus on that. Focus on the fact that they're in the dark and you're listening for what they're saying and what is being said to them. Some of what is being said, especially at the very beginning, is in Spanish. And I think it is being said to either Jessie, who does speak Spanish, or he's saying it to Wiyaka because he thinks he understands Spanish because he's brown. Because he actually says at one point, you do understand Spanish, don't you? Like, he thinks the guy's lying to him, or he believes that he speaks more Spanish than he's letting on. And he's talking to him in Spanish about the fact that he didn't properly document himself when entering the country. In other words, Jessie Sandoval, Cam, Evan probably too, all of these people lied to immigration authorities when they crossed the border and told them, as I showed you, Bertie Gutierrez was advising people to do, that they were just crossing for the day. They're just going to be there for a little bit. We're just coming in and we're coming across to have some food, have some fun, buy some gifts, and then we're going back home. But they're not. As you know, they're going in there to supposedly report. They're going in there to organize. They're going in there to agitate. They're going in there to lie to people, to misinform the public, to misinform the caravan, to tell people not to get on the buses, to tell people that there's no electricity at El Barretal, that there's no water, that donations are being hoarded, all of which are untrue. That's what they're really doing. And see, the Mexican border authorities, I mean, the American and Mexican border authorities, as well as the Mexican police, are on to you. I showed you they have already started arresting people that are agitators for inciting riots. Wait till you go to a Mexican jail. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. It's not going to be like in Morton County. It's not going to be like in Morton County. It's going to be different. And let me tell you that that's illegal. Like, I've traveled to Mexico many times throughout my life, my entire life. I've crossed the border. I've crossed that border. I've crossed the border at Laredo. I've crossed the border at Brownsville. I've crossed on foot. I've crossed in a vehicle. I've crossed in a plane. I've never lied to the border authorities. I've never said, I'm just going over there for the day and then disappeared into Mexico and stayed for whatever other purposes. That's illegal to do. You know that? I didn't do that in the I've never done it to the United States because I'm a citizen, but I've never done it to any other country I visited. Not Canada, not Mexico. I've never lied to the border authorities. You don't have to. Mexico is very relaxed in its immigration policy and in their visas to foreigners, especially from the United States. They like the tourism, and they like people to stay and shop and spend their money. All you have to do is tell them, I plan on staying here for 3 months or for more than a week or for whatever. And they will very happily grant you a 90-day visa, which is almost standard. A lot of times when I would cross into Mexico, I would simply tell them, they'd say, how long are you going to be here? And I'd say, I'm not really sure. As long as I'm having fun, I guess. Well, do you think you're going to be here for more than a week? Oh, yeah, probably. Unless something goes horribly wrong. I'm definitely going to be here for more than a week. And then they'll be like, okay, 3 months. There you go. Well, I don't plan to stay 3 months. Go ahead and have a visa for 3 months. You got one. Now, if you want to stay, you can. And if you think you're going to have to stay for longer than 3 months, you tell them. And they will grant it. It's not even a big deal. All you have to do is go to Border and Customs and tell them the truth, and they will easily give you a visa to stay. But these people lied for a reason. They're there with nefarious purposes, and they're hiding their intent, so they're not telling the Mexican authorities the truth, and they got caught. They got caught because they were asked to present their papers. Where's your papers? You know why? What did I tell you about this new shelter? It's enclosed. They have control over who goes in and who goes out for the protection of the migrant caravan and their property, as well as for the people running that place. In addition to that, they have rules, and they sign everyone up so that they can account for the people that are there, right? That are under their care. That means you have to tell them who you're with. That way they can assign you to the proper place to sleep. If you're in nuclear families, you go in one location. If you're women alone with children, you go in another. If you're single men, you go in another. And by the way, you have to sign up with the DIF in Mexico, the Mexican authority that is making sure that all of these people get the proper donations, medical care, signed up for all of the different services and resources available to them through the Mexican authorities locally. If you're not part of the caravan, that means you don't get full access to the shelter anymore. The only reason they had more access to the shelter before was because it was in an open ball field. It was temporary, and it was never meant for people to have that much access to it or for it to be there forever. And these organizers wanted it to be there forever. These organizers are still lying to the 500 or so people that remain at the old sports outside on the streets now of the old sports centers without porta potties, without water, without food, without donations, without help, so that they can mobilize them and use them as a weapon to shut down the border. And they're angry that not only can they not do the same thing with the ones at El Barretal, but they can't even go in there to mess with their heads. They can't even go in there to organize them. They can't even go in there to manipulate donations, to broadcast propaganda. They can't do none of that. And they are angry about it. They're so mad. They're like, we're going to stay here. Here's another post. Jessie Sandoval posted, we're being kicked out of El Barretal, and they just tried to threaten one of our comrades with deportation. Errol Medicine says, damn, that's sad as hell. Joe says, Mother Earth is crying. No, she ain't. She ain't crying for these sorry people. We meaning the support like yourself or the refugees? No, Patty, she doesn't mean the refugees or the caravan. Those are the people that are supposed to be there. She's not. She's the one getting kicked out. To Rena Austin, they cannot do their bad deeds when there are people that can get the word out. Mexican authorities are not doing bad deeds. They're getting rid of bad deeds and bad actors. William Tester, Oi and I yee, the boots of the state don't want anyone planting or harvesting or watering the garden. Anyway, so this guy says, time to go undercover, recruit a member of the asylum seekers to report and stay in contact with. Time to go undercover? What do these people think? They're like 007 or something? Jesus. I guess they're admitting they're spies, at least. Well, this is how it all went down, folks. I'm going to share the video of them getting kicked out. And it is hilarious. Here you go. Remember, it's pretty dark, so bear with me. To be in Mexico, you need proper paperwork, he says. He said something about, and you were arguing with me about something. And then he asked me, I thought you do understand Spanish, don't you? He says, I don't want you to attack me. I don't go to your country and something. It's very hard to hear it. These people are getting scolded in Spanish. Those of them that can understand it are being scolded in Spanish right now.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What are we doing wrong?
No, yes. That you need a permit for stay in Mexico. And when I asked for the permit, he told me, no, I have the passport. The passport needs a permit for stay in Mexico. You need cross walking and ask for the permit. And that's it. It's not cost if you stay less than 7 days. Or still 7 days.
Is that federal law or is it state law?
No, federal law.
Federal law?
Federal law. Sí. Mire, aquí tienen ya su casita y todo. Todos. Hasta el chico que dice que está legal, pero pues no está legal. Entré por la frontera legalmente con el carro y con el pasaporte y con el pasaporte y todo, así que no sé qué es el problema.
He said something about them all being here illegally.
Hay que sacar un permiso que es un documento que te da.
You have to have a document that gives you the right to be here. If you're going to be here less than 7 days, it's a different one. If you're going to be here more than 7 days, it's a different one. And you have to have one.
Tal vez sí. Sí, creo que sí. Más seguro es que sí.
What are they saying?
No me pueden dar uno aquí para llenarlo y ya.
Tienes que ir allá a la frontera.
He's like, can you give me one of those papers here? He's like, no, you have to go to Border and Customs. You know the spot you skipped? That you lied to? Go back to them.
So even as indigenous, we can't stay here either?
No.
Nope.
Just the guys.
You're still breaking the law.
Stay here, you said? Yeah. Nobody can stay if not it's a caravan. Or from Honduras, Salvador, or Guatemala. That's it.
So, we're not allowed to help our people?
No, you can help the people. That we have our rules here. And the rules, I think so, that you need, ¿cómo se dice? Attend the rules, right? You can come tomorrow, no problem, but you cannot stay here tonight.
No que no, cabrones.
I mean, wanted to make sure to make sure
Miss I'm not leaving herself. Jessie Sandoval
like something might happen for the night, so I wanted to see.
Pack it up. Get out. There's all their stuff. Where's all the bravado? You see the little patch? You got a police escort. Bye. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. You can't stay here. By the way, remember when Lilith Sinclair was talking all her smack?
Can we take it up in the morning?
Who's gonna stay and make sure it doesn't
Pick it up. Take it.
I mean, if like, if you
Can you put this over there?
No, nosotros.
Yeah.
Dicen que usted va a quedar aquí esta noche. Porque si no lo...
No, tengo 5 personas que no tienen, entonces los voy a trasladar para acá.
¿Está bien? Perfecto.
Los voy a trasladar porque solo esta tengo.
Así que podemos volver para el mañana por la mañana.
Sí.
Okay.
Estamos... Ay, se me olvidó el nombre.
Mañana.
Bye.
Hasta mañana.
We got shut down pretty quick.
Nosotros estamos bien. Nosotros estamos bien. ¿Sí?
No, de hecho yo me voy a trasladar para acá porque ahí está bien feo. Ayer me fue porque...
Todo está bien, porque todo pasa por una razón.
She said everything happens for a reason.
Aprendemos. Y hoy vamos a aprender mucho. Ya está.
And we're learning.
Ellos van a aprender.
They're gonna learn. We're gonna learn.
Todos aprendiendo juntos.
We all learn together.
Nunca se termina de aprender.
We never stop learning.
Claro que sí, aquí todos vamos a aprender.
We're all gonna learn here.
All right. Wow. The federalists and the immigration, they're just basically saying that we are not invited here. We don't have rights to be here with our people. So here we go.
Sáquese.
Peace out. I'm outie.
Out. Con la cola entre las patas. And to leave with their tail between their legs. All of that trash talking. Remember I showed you Lilith Sinclair was pointing the camera at the officials, at the cops, at the immigration authorities that were outside, and she was saying, F these people. And they're monitoring who comes in and who goes out. Yeah, they're doing their jobs. And they're doing this and they're doing that. And they were talking all this smack about them. And I said, as soon as I am done with this show, it was still daylight in those videos. You remember that? I said, as soon as I am finished with this show, I am sending these videos of Jessie Sandoval and Lilith Sinclair with David Gaskin and Wiyaka Eagleman, where these two women are talking smack, spreading lies, attacking Mexican authorities. And they're Americans. They're not even supposed to be there. And apparently they lied to Customs and Immigration about their reasons for being in the country. So they're there illegally. They could be arrested. They could be deported. Like that. And I told you I was going to send that information to the news and to the authorities that run the shelter so that they would know who they were. And like magic, the authorities zeroed in on them that very night and got them out of there. Bye, Felicia. Bye. I told you, you're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. You think you're going to pull the same stunts you pulled here in North Dakota? In Mexico? It's like another world, okay? I am telling you, it is like another world. You are not going to get away with it. If I was you, if I was all of you, whether you're in the media spreading these lies, whether you're one of the people misinforming people, putting this spin on the caravan and the way that the Mexican government is treating them, or one of these organized so-called organizers that's doing it, you better watch yourself. Because you are infringing upon the patience, the kindness, and the hospitality of the Mexican people, and in particular of the Tijuanenses. And you don't want to do that. Remember, I told you I was going to give you all a piece of advice, and that is, don't poop where you eat. If you're currently in Mexico, you best be real kind and mind your P's and Q's while you're there, because bad things will happen to you. Now, as promised, I'm going to bring you updates from Dewey. Remember I told you somebody dappled that girl? Here's something else new she posted. I just about died. So she's posting about, so was Chase Iron Eyes and a bunch of other people from the WPLC, as if they had won some great victory. Posting about how Washday had basically had her charges dropped, dismissed, right? For a procedural error on the part of the other, of the prosecution. This was all to further a case that was a misdemeanor charge that she probably would have gotten a deferred sentence for if she had been convicted as guilty. So why did they keep all of this charade of raising money and fighting for the cause and blah, blah, blah for? Well, because Lakota Law Project, the WPLC, and Fresh It all made bank on that. Duh. They were raising money for a majority of people who all took guilty pleas and got deferred sentences. Most of whom got bailed out, never were really facing any long prison, sentences, except for people like Kathleen Bennett or Brennan, for example, who still hasn't had his trial. And how helpful have they been in those cases? Not very much. But here, James White is being lauded as another one of their victories by Dewey. James White, a.k.a. Angry Bird of Standing Rock, was sentenced. That means he too, okay? He too was guilty. What did he get? Not a whole lot. He gets supervised probation. He got time served. The prosecutors wanted to put him on like a ankle bracelet, house arrest type of situation, and make him have a curfew or put other restrictions on his participation in other protests, all of which were denied. So on that count, I guess you could say they did, the lawyer in that case had a minor victory of some sort, even though her client was found guilty. So they did not win the case, but they're touting the fact that, the punishment is not going to be very severe. He's not going to be on house arrest. He doesn't have to serve any additional time. There's no curfew that is being imposed. And in addition to that, he can participate in other protests. So he is free to go on doing more of that stuff. And then I saw Cruella de Vil in the picture, and I'm like, oh my God, are the 101 Dalmatians okay? And I like squeezed the image in, focused in tightly on Cruella and her clown shoes over here. And I was like, oh dear God, is that Christina Hollenback? Yes. Why, yes, it is. And over here, we have in her same exact skirt. This is the only ribbon skirt that this woman owns is olive bias. Remember, Christina Hollenback works with Nexus. Christina Hollenback has been working with the WPLC. She is the same woman that framed Kathleen Bennett. There's Juanita Locke right there. And of course, here is Olive Bias right there. So that's who has shown up to North Dakota to have a little gathering to celebrate this, whatever you want to call it. Here's another one. There's Miss Bias in her skirt, pretend Indianing. Just like Desiree Kane. Where did all of these white women, when did they just decide they would abandon their whiteness and pretend Indian? I don't know. And I don't know why these Indians allowed other people to believe, why they gave them agency to believe that indeed they were Indians. But they did. Including, I speak with a Lakota accent, Christina Hollenback, a.k.a. Cruella de Vil. Who told her that this was a look she should wear outside of the federal courthouse? I mean, and then the shoes, like, they're like the blue clown shoes. Check it out. I'm just like looking at this going, all she needs is a feather hat and a cane to complete her pimp outfit. Right? Like, am I right or what? Somebody get this girl a hat with a feather in it and get her the cane and her outfit will be complete. Okay. Hold on to your hats because, as promised, I am going to be bringing you the now deleted Watch Day We Young post, which begins with this tweet from Jacqueline Keeler. Included in this thread that is now no longer available online is another pretend Indian, Desiree Kane. So Jacqueline Keeler, at JF Keeler, Keeler on LER, on Twitter, posted, there is also a BIA report of the violence Tara Houska and another did against a Native woman. I will remind you folks that Tara Houska was a WPLC lawyer as well as Red Warrior camp leader. Keeler goes on, this led to them both being evicted from Prairie Nights Casino during the No Dapple protest at Standing Rock, hashtag Bernie Sanders. I will also remind you, Tara Houska worked on Bernie Sanders' campaign as a Native American liaison. To this, Wash Day We responds. Now, this is some BS. How do I know? Tuin Deb White Plume, who's a respected Oglala elder and matriarch, was the one kicked out and banned from Prairie Nights Casino after a Waisichuwinian named Desiree Kane, she spells it with a C, called the BIA police on her. Tuin Deb and Natalie Hand told me what happened that very evening. How embarrassing for the BIA police, Prairie Nights Casino, and our tribe for hiring, then defending that poser. Hiring Desiree Kane. That is what she is alleging here. That the BIA, Prairie Nights Casino, and our tribe, the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, hired a pretend Indian, a woman who pretends to be an Indian, which she admits defending that poser. Why are you spelling her name wrong when you knew about this, when you know who this woman is, and you've been giving her agency, you and your friends? Don't pretend like you didn't know. Now you're all of a sudden mad at her because she and Keeler are throwing some of you under the bus. Now you're cannibalizing each other, so you're willing to admit that the Standing Rock Sioux tribe hired a pretend Indian, gave agency to a pretend Indian. But come on, let's be honest. You were down for that. Why didn't you call her out 2 years ago? Why haven't you called her out until now? And Washday says, then she says, then for this false BS to be propagated. Tara Hauska wasn't even there when this happened. Tara, you seriously need to press charges against these stupid people. Sick of people trying to twist history when there weren't even here at Standing Rock. Folks, let me tell you. First of all, you can't press criminal charges on someone for a tweet. I don't know if Washday knows that. You'd think that working so long on her own criminal case, she would know the difference between criminal charges and a civil matter. But none of these people do. None of these people appear to. Tara Hauska claims to be a lawyer, right? Remember that? And she says, going with this thread. Everybody join back in. This happened yesterday. Everything was working fine. Boom. The Facebook app shut down. My whole screen goes black. It's gone. And then I have to push the little button. Facebook is shut down. I have to reopen it. It's weird. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, we were just getting started. This is part 2. We were just getting started with the long thread of dirty laundry that was posted by Washday Wee Young, who is formerly of the board of the WPLC, whose mother is Phyllis Young, one of the leaders of the Standing Rock movement and camp, a very big figure at Prairie Nights Casino herself, which was working directly with Christina Hollenback, as you may recall, and Mulaney Stoneman, all of whom gave agency, worked with, traveled together with people like LaDonna, Desiree Kane, Sarah Juanita Jumping Eagle, all of these folks. They were definitely giving each other the thumbs up and supporting what these folks were doing. So I want to show you. They posted this in response to Jacqueline Keeler. Let me go back to, this is the tweet, the original tweet that started off this poop storm. And Jacqueline Keeler let the cat out of the bag and accuses Tara Hauska of committing assault against a Native woman. Report of violence that she claims is in a BIA police report somewhere. And that it led to the eviction that led to both of these people being evicted from Prairie Nights Casino during No Dapple at Standing Rock, to which Washday Wee comes to the rescue and says, no, that's not true. And the reason she knows it's not true is because she had all of the information way back then. She also knew that Desiree Kane was a pretend Indian hired by her tribe, but is now just telling you about it because... Why? Why is it? Why is it that she now is this is the first time she is talking about Desiree Kane being a Waisichu Winyan? That is an embarrassment to the tribe because they hired her and then defended her while she was being a poser? Interesting. And it goes on to say, she said, if it's true to Keeler, under her tweet, as you can see, it's above. She says, if it's true, then get the police report then. Post it. Where's the BIA report? She wants to know. Washday says, violence in response to the tweet, as opposed to posing as a native and getting Indian preference. So now it bothers you. Now it bothers Indian women that were part of all of this, that Desiree Kane was pretending to be an Indian and taking agency and a voice away from real Indian women. Now it dawns on you that it was a bad thing. Not before, but it does now. And she continues, or being a mean, snarky, Nawizi indigenous woman who hates on her own people and makes poop up just for fun. That's her talking about Keeler. Okay? Then Tara chimes in and says, to Matt, somebody that works with Chase Iron Eyes, the person I reached out to publish the story about Kathleen Bennett in Last Real Indians, that refused to publish the story because Chase Iron Eyes did not want to attack his bestie, Mulaney Stoneman, who he works with, the kidnapper in this case, because they all covered up the crime that was facilitated by the money and support of Nexus billionaire Ann Thompson-Frenk and her assistant, Christina Hollenback. These people were all in on that. Frame up and silencing. Is it any wonder that Washday Wee, who was on the board of the WPLC, did nothing to help? That her cousin, who was the head of the volunteers that I called and played my recording for you, did nothing to help Kathleen Bennett? That when I called out Desiree Kane nearly a year ago, none of them chimed in to say, yes, this woman is toxic and dangerous to our movement. Makes you wonder why they're doing it now. Makes me wonder. And she says, Tara says to Matt Remmel, her attacks on my character started when the org several of us had formed, EONM, woke up to her posting derogatory statements about N7 and Bunky Echo Hawk. Under the org's account, we held an emergency board meeting to set a posting policy moving forward. Her response was to change passwords and announce a hostile takeover. So the rest of the board moved on, calling ourselves not your mascots, and we kept working. So much toxicity, it's pretty sad, honestly. Assertions of violence is a new level. Hauska also works with Winona LaDuke. Honor the Earth. Those are the people that were the... Honor the Earth is the fiscal agent of Freshit, the other organization that collected millions of dollars for the legal defense of people arrested at Standing Rock. Okay? You know, I mean, I really don't care about their dirty laundry as much as I want you to see. This is what it looks like when these folks, these greedy people that lied to people to get their money, that push their buttons to get them to support them, to get millions of dollars to travel around the world, to be the faces of this new agenda, political and otherwise. What I want you to see, though, is what they knew, when they knew it, and that they've never done anything to try to remedy what they were part of. Washday says to Tara, you better press charges too, man, for real. And Matt says, Tara, damn, that's crazy. Sorry that you and so many others are in her toxic crosshairs. And forget her anyways. You kick ass. Then Tara says back to Mac Rummel, back at ya. Ain't nobody got time for hating. There's too much to do. And look, there's Mama LaDonna as always weighing in. When does all the lies end? I don't know, LaDonna. Why don't you tell us? When are you going to stop lying? Maybe then the lies will end. When will you tell the truth? You can answer that question for all of us. Washday says, in my neck of the woods, that's what we call Nasula Ta'a Ta'a. There's not really woods here, but just saying. She goes on to spill more beans about Desiree, saying, Desiree is also the one I called out at the time this happened. Really? Did you do so under a bushel inside of a cave under the ground? Because nobody heard about you calling out Desiree Kane at any time. She has been front and center speaking on behalf of Native women in a multitude of things, including murdered and missing Indigenous women campaigns to this day. She inserted herself in media. She traveled around the country representing Standing Rock and Indigenous women, and y'all said nothing. Nothing about it. But now they have something to say. Washday says, Desiree is also the one I called out at the time this happened. That's when a bunch of Lakota and Dakota men and others started DMing me, telling me to knock it off and leave her alone. Oh, I know who it was. I bet I know who it was. Was it Wiyaka Eagleman who was dating her? Oh, wait, no. Was it Remy, a.k.a. Jeremy Frendenberg, the artist, the so-called artist that started the Indian Problem Collective that I showed you? Was it, oh, wait. Was it Aldo Sewani, the guy with the horses that she was recently dating that is connected to the headsman? Which one? Was it all of them? She goes on, Shoo-wah. You'd think that they'd be supporting Tu and Deb. Then Jeannie says, she asked for an interview from me after I quit my job to join Standing Rock. Looked like one giant red flag to me, and I declined. And she asks a guy named Joseph, remember? And then she says to Tara, P.S. Tara, I have such a girl crush on you. I met you briefly and admire you strength, intelligence, and drive. You rock. Tara's like, miigwech for the kind words. Solidarity. Solidarity and unity rock. Carol says, she was a friend of mine on Facebook I've never met. Did not know this. We'll unfriend her now. This is horrible. And Sarah Sunshine says to Carol, she's toxic. Her name has come up a few times this week in different circles I'm connected to. She loves the drama, though. It's her thing. And Carol Lindstrom then responds to Sunshine, oh my God, so good to know. I had no idea. I unfriended her after reading that. Miigwech for letting me know. And then Sarah adds, she's also a board member of the Native American Journalists Association, if you can imagine that, lol. Tara responds to Sarah, for real? Legitimizing someone who's ready and willing to write bold lies. Wow! Coming from Tara, that is an amazing statement. And she says one of Bernie's staffers weighed in today when Keeler was saying, I was never an advisor. Upon that lie being debunked, she just moved immediately to me being unqualified for the job. What kind of integrity is that? I don't know. What kind of integrity is it for the people that worked closely with Red Warrior and the WPLC who sat down with The Intercept, which Desiree Kane turned over information to, panels which Tara Houska sat on? It isn't as if Tara Houska didn't know that Desiree Kane was a poser, a pretend Indian that was doing bad things. But none of them said anything until now. Now that Keeler is exposing something about them. Lisa says, this needs to stop. And then who shows up? Oh, why, it's none other than gal pal to Desiree Kane herself, Christy Nobis. Remember her? She was the Bernie for the People page. I'll have to drag out some of Christy Nobis's many videos with pretend Indian Desiree Kane, who she's now happy to throw under the bus, but who she gave agency to before. Christine says, I have stories, lots and lots of stories. In fact, I've been thinking about writing about this. We need to keep our community, we need to keep our community together because we have larger issues to fight. These types of problems are dividing and conquering. I want to talk about white people posing as indigenous people and the gatekeeping and lateral oppression they are imposing. It's distressing, not only because they're perpetuating colonialism, but they are actually taking resources from real indigenous organizers. Oh, really? Did that just dawn on you right now? How come it didn't come up when you were at that rich people conference in California in the wine country with Manape? Huh? How come it didn't come up for you when all of this 2-year time you have been giving agency and support to that pretend Indian you speak of now? Washday chimes in, Chris Nobis, for real, flame. And then Chris responds to Washday Wee Young, she stole the Indian Problems Facebook page from the indigenous artist, that's Remy, who started that collective, and then she kicked me off of it. Yeah, you know how long ago that happened? It happened over a year ago when yours truly, Cindy Gomez-Schempp, reported that to you because it came to me from Remy himself. And remember who introduced me to Remy? Why, it was none other than Wesley Clark Jr., the person that brought out the vets to Standing Rock, the person that hired Seven McDonald to do the PR for Standing Rock Hollywood and for Standing Rock Vets. Christy Nobis is told by Washday in this post, from what I'm hearing in this, is that this would be the first time, this wouldn't be, the first time that she did this for real. And Marissa Diaz says, it really hurts me, infuriates me, and it is absolutely unacceptable that non-native women who pretend to be native get to have a huge voice for us. It literally silences us indigenous women, and I cannot be okay with that as a relative and a person who is accountable to my community. As far as everything else goes, I have no familiarity or experience with it, so I cannot speak on what I have not seen and do not know. Frauds need to be frauds need to be outed because they're death to us as indigenous people. That has to be said, and a stance needs to be taken. Hell, even Remy didn't want to take a stance. He didn't want to call her out. Here's some more memes in that thread. There's Washday posting a meme of a guy catching money, and then the Pikachu with his mouth open. Christine thinks it's hilarious. And they talk about the meme. Washday says she didn't mean to put the one in the money in there, just the Pikachu one. Christine says, why not? I think it's perfect. And then Christine posts the crying Indian picture. Carolyn says, I'm confused. Everyone keeps saying she. Are you all talking about Keeler or Desiree? And Washday says, Carolyn, Keeler's the one who lied in the post above. Kane is the poser. Means she's the pretend Indian. In the fall of 2016, Kane, notice how she now knows how to write her last name. She figured it out. Kane was hired by our tribe during No Dapple. There it is, clear in black and white. Hired by the Standing Rock Sioux tribe during No Dapple. Taking employment from Standing Rock Sioux tribe, a Standing Rock Sioux tribe citizen. Oh yeah? It just dawned on you that if you hired pretend Indians, they would be taking the place of real Indians? She says, for employment, for what? I don't know. While eating at the casino, Tu and Deb seen Kane and called her out on some BS. Kane felt threatened, so she called the police. This is what we were talking about. How do we call out posers without going to jail? She says. To make matters worse, Prairie Knights Casino Management then 86 Deb from the facility for life because of Desiree Kane. Embarrassing. It's a sad day when our own businesses boot our own sober grandmas from tribal businesses because of white fragility. Sigh. But from what I am starting to see, it sounds like mental illness, to be honest. And Che Jim says, I had no idea about anything. Whoa. And then, did I miss one? Yes, they posted this Jacqueline Keeler picture where she says, anything I write or do is because I want a better future for my DNA and Dakota people, for my children. I believe our purported leaders must be held accountable. Foremost, I believe our leaders must be ethical. When you see anyone complaining about me, it's most likely because they're involved in questionable activities. Just take that as a clue as to the landscape we live in. Hashtag why I write. And that's what was next on that thread, as you can see way up here. I just made it bigger so you could actually read what was in there. And then Washday tags Keely Purcell and says, shake my head. And Keely says, crazy. That just means she's stalking your page. So she was referring to Keeler's saying, if someone is talking about me, it means that they're involved in questionable stuff. And Keely says, yeah, she's also watching your page. And Washday responds, yeah, at first I was really upset because of all the hurt that these women have personally caused to my family, relatives, and friends. Now I'm just going to let it go, and Azilia, I'm going to pray for them. David says, some folks seem to enjoy making trouble. I invited Desiree Kane to a project and regretted that not long after. Should have checked some references before engaging. You think, Dave? In my experience, there's a lack of accountability on her part. Yeah. Seems like there's a pattern at play here. And no one caught it until now. How convenient for all of these people that supported her. Washday says, watch out. If my page disappears, all those nosy peeps and friends of theirs are peeping this, scrolling with their noses. Christine says, hey, Wiyaka Eagleman, guess who's surfacing again? Your girlfriend. See, they know. They all know. Why didn't any of them say anything? Because they were covering for her and their tribe and their tribe's choice for employment. Fake Indians. Christy Nobis then tags Yvette Padilla. This is what's happening in your community. And Cheryl says, damn, these fools everywhere. Guess who else gets tagged? Akichida Hoaxida, a.k.a. Manape Lamer, a.k.a. the person working with Christina Hollenback, with Malini Stoneman and Bill Runningfisher, that framed an innocent woman that put her in jail for 6 months and did not look back, that left an elderly woman in a hospital to die and did not give a rip. That's who. Oh, she's been chewing on everyone for many years. I kicked her butt out of my site long ago. Now this, says Taka Raymond. And then, boom, it all disappeared. I actually wanted to try to get one screen capture that had the full conversation thread. I took a picture of it with my phone as I was reading it, and then I went to take a picture of the whole thread. Poof, it was gone. Like somebody dappled Washday's page. But I was like, damn you, Dapple. Don't worry, Washday. I saved him for you. Got him right here. So everybody can see that Desiree Kane is no good. Yeah, I know, right? Glad you finally joined the gang. Glad you joined the party finally, and realized that Desiree Kane pretending to be an Indian is harmful to Indian people. Thank you for noticing. Sad to see you're still promoting Christina Hollenback and Olive Bias, but you know what? 1 out of 3 ain't bad. Anyway, stay tuned for more about all of these Standing Rock phonies that are trying to control this caravan. Remember, you can get kicked out of Mexico just like you got kicked out of El Barretal. And maybe if you're lucky, you won't end up in jail. So stop agitating, stop inciting riots, stop committing crimes in foreign countries, because Mexico's not going to put up with it. And this Mexican Crossing Lines is here to call it out day and night. I will be bringing you more reports. Let's remind these folks, this is not your caravan, okay? You don't own it, you don't control it, you can't manipulate it, and you can't exploit it for your own purposes. Have a great evening. Thank you for being with with us. Share this out to everyone that you know so they can be alerted to who these phonies are. Thanks for being with me. Buenas noches.